Let's turn to a big focus story now. Union Road and Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari announced today that the deadline for mandatory implementation of 6 airbags in a passenger car will now be implemented from the 1st of October 2023, that's next year. The deadline has been extended due to global supply chain constraints faced by the auto industry and its impact on the macroeconomic scenario. On one hand, it has raised concerns of higher costs, with automobile manufacturers saying that this measure would adversely affect the sales of low-cost automobiles, as prices are likely to go up as the cost of manufacturing itself will increase. It was expected to put more pressure on automobile companies who are already dealing with higher prices. But economics apart, the truth is that there can be no price tag to the cost of human lives, especially when you have the union minister himself making a statement in Parliament in March 2022, where Nitin Gadkari said that the functional deployment of 6 airbags in cars could have saved over 13,000 lives in the year 2020. Based on research, based on data, the minister admitted that a 6 airbags rule should have been in place long ago. It has been brought in now, and the implementation will only be from next year. Under the circumstances, it's clear that even that 1-year delay in implementation could, God forbid, cost us more lives. Let's look at the statistics on how road safety is a major concern in India. Look at the number of deaths in road crashes across India. In the year 2020, it was 1.33 lakh. In the year 2021, it has gone up to 1.55 lakhs. That is the number of fatalities on the road. The increase from 2020 to 2021 is 17%. And if you really break it down, what we have done for you, and we realized that it's literally an average of 426 road accidents every day in the year 2021, as per NCRB data, which translates to 18 deaths every single hour due to road accidents in India, as per the data of 2021. Let's now look at the next graphics that we have in terms of how the airbag rule has changed with time. Now remember, India has woken up to this particular safety measure only in April 2019, where the driver's side airbag was made mandatory. Following that, in January this year is when you had dual front bags mandatory, kicking in. So it was as recently as January this year, I beg your pardon, that you had a compulsory dual front bag rule in passenger cars. Then, of course, on the 14th of January this year, a draft notification was released mandating vehicles of category M1, which is basically passenger car manufacturers, to have, from the 1st of October this year, 6 airbags. That deadline has now been postponed. The earlier mandate postponed by a year to October 2023. Let's also take a quick look, just a cursory look at what is the importance of the auto sector, the small car industry in India. The auto sector of India contributes 17.4% is the market share, and 7.1% is what the auto sector contributes to India's GDP. It's a very, very important market in India insofar as the economy is concerned. The passenger car sales are dominated by small and mid-sized cars. Therefore, this decision is going to have a very important impact, a crucial impact on the economy at large if the car sales per se go down because of the increase in cost of manufacturing. Let me quickly go across to Samir Dikshit, joining us with more information. Samir, first of all, bring us up to speed with what the union minister has announced today, and also, from your experience and exposure, how the auto industry is going to cope with this.
Yes, definitely the latest development is that the government has deferred or has extended the timeline for the mandatory 6 airbags in M1 category of a vehicle, which is basically passenger cars. Now the 6 airbags have to be there. It will come mandatory with effect from 1st of October 2023. But earlier this year in February, when the government or the Road Transport Ministry, they came up with a draft notification, then the government had an intent planned to implement it from October this year itself, but seeking the suggestions or the feedback from the automakers, which said that they are having some supply constraints, they are not getting proper supply, and there are several other challenges, and they asked and requested the Road Transport Ministry to provide some more time frame to implement it. So, seeking the entire development, now the Road Transport Ministry, and in a tweet, Nitin Gadkari, who is heading the this ministry, he said that the government is ready to provide this sort of relaxation or the time frame to the automakers that they can take another 1 year, but they have to comply by this six airbag rule from 1st of October 2023, because ultimately it is all about the lives of passenger, which is beyond any cost. It is paramount. Safety parameters have to be met by the auto sector. Secondly, Indian auto sector has to meet the European standard. So this is the entire development. In addition to this, the government has also categorically said that any sort of excuses will not be entertained in coming months or days, whether it's
Okay.
going to be the whether it's going to be the variant or any other sort of excuse, it will not be entertained. But yes, if there is a supply constraint, that is a genuine problem. It has been taken into account, and a time frame or release has been given to the auto companies. But now this six back mandatory rule will come into effect from 1st of October 2023. That is next year.
Right. So, in fact, thanks for giving us, Samir, thanks for giving us an overall perspective on this issue. We have with us two experts joining us on the program, Mr. Tutu Dhawan, an automotive expert, and Pradip Sarkar, who's a road safety expert, for two perspectives on how this decision is critical and crucial. Very good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here on The Big Focus. Mr. Tutu Dhawan, if I can begin by asking you this question, Mr. Dhawan, that small and mid-sized cars clearly form the largest part of the passenger car market, and this rule directly applies to passenger cars. Manufacturers say that additional airbags would increase their cost and decrease the sale of entry-level cars. If this happens, how big an impact will it have on the auto industry?
Well, nothing comes free in this world, and the airbags also cost a lot of money. It's not just like an ordinary balloon that one could buy from the market and go and screw it onto the vehicle. It's a very scientific mechanism which gets triggered on with a couple of sensors depending on the impact of the vehicle. And after that, along with that, there has to be the pre-tension seatbelt as well. So it is not just a question of the airbag that is going to prevent a fatal accident, but in consonance with that, you have to have a seatbelt along with it also.
Yes, so airbags and the seat belt rule, both are equally important. We are, after all, talking about road safety, Mr. Sarkar. The point is that whatever it takes, one has to ensure that if any of these accidents that have happened are something that could have been avoided, that could have been averted, whatever measures are required to be put in place needs to be done, isn't it? After all, we are talking about human lives, and we all need to travel. No one can compromise on commute in terms of using the Indian roads per se, or for that matter, a vehicle per se. Do you think this is enough, in terms of what the government can do, or do you think this is just perhaps a first step or a preliminary step taken?
I think I will appreciate the measures made by our honorable transport ministers. That is indeed a good effort. But, when you talk about safety, this is, of course, is going to save a number of lives, as I am very confident. But meanwhile, we have seen from the statistics also if I quote the statistics precisely, National Statistics and Analysis 2020 report, they say that front seatbelt or front airbag can save the life to the tune of 50,457, while the rear seat airbag has saved the life to the extent of 2,252. So that was just enormous lives have been saved. So therefore, it's a good step. I think we should be happy. But as a safety expert and also working in the areas of intelligent transport systems, I believe gradually it should be graduated to bring more sensors in the vehicles. Even a driver, we have seen that sometimes drivers feeling fatigue, becomes drowsy. There are number of situations arise, and as a result, also accident happens. So therefore, we have to develop on all the sensors, required sensors to catch that whether anybody having some problem while driving. In case the sensors catches the particular problem, then it can be easily put into active alarm mode, and driver can be also come to a sense, and he need to. Otherwise, in case if driver does not understand the situation and also does not listen to the alarm, then our braking system should be such that the brake is automatically will be applied in order
Right.
to save the accident. So these are the number of features I can tell at length that what could be done. That's why nowadays, let me tell you, nowadays the various developed countries are working in the development of autonomous vehicles, which is presently at level 3, and it can be graduated to level 5, where the vehicles will be fully autonomous.
Right. These are important points you're making, but I want to play full frame that particular animation video, which will help our viewers understand what can change. You know, of course, this is a representative video we are playing. When the airbag comes on, you see the passengers in the front seats, they manage to save themselves from serious injury. And those at the back who do not have this particular safety measure for them can be flung across the car on the passengers sitting in the front firstly, and then they could even, depending on the impact of the speed, could even fly out of the vehicle, or since there is absolutely no safety measure. In fact, in this particular video, what we are seeing is there is no seat belt as well. So none of these two safety measures are there for the back seat passengers, and that makes it extremely dangerous, like we saw in the case of Mr. Cyrus Mistry, since he was sitting as a passenger at the back. Now, I also want to ask our panelists today that manufacturers, of course, are worried about the cost of the additional airbags, and you have Mr. Nitin Gadkari claiming that every additional airbag would cost 800 rupees. Dual airbags are already mandatory, so it would mean an additional 800 rupees would lead to an increase of a few thousand rupees. But the manufacturers do not agree with that calculation. They are saying the calculation is much higher. Is the cost a major issue, Mr. Dhawan, for this postponement? Because this delay also can prove to be expensive.
No. It's not only the cost. Let me tell you, it's a very scientific thing which has to be installed in the car. The airbag gets triggered on with electronic sensors which are placed in the vehicle. Depending on the impact, the airbags get deployed, provided the seat belts are worn by the passenger. Now, in case of Mr. Mistry's unfortunate demise, he was not wearing seat belts at the back. His car had 7 airbags. They all got deployed, but it did not help saving his life. So my suggestion, my humble suggestion would be that the government should make mandatory to have seatbelt alarms, and not only that, there should also be a system by which the vehicle should not move till all the passengers in the car are belted down. Only then will you have some sort of a semblance of discipline on the road. And I can guarantee you, if all people in the car are wearing seat belts, we can have at minimum 30 to 40% of saving of fatalities on the road accidents.
As a more important safety measure, which the government perhaps at this point is focusing on the issue of airbags, since that requires, as we have just shown our viewers as well, it requires a lot of factoring in of cost and manufacturing cost. Mr. Sarkar, do you also believe that in terms of importance, in terms of proportionality, the passenger seat belt issue requires more immediate attention than probably the issue of airbags?
I'm absolutely in the same opinion as you said. I feel that it is a priority. It has got to be taken up immediately without any compromising the time and cost. And therefore, meanwhile, if you delay as much as you would like to delay because of the administrative problem, I think that meanwhile we will also see many accidents being recorded because of this problem. So therefore, why not to take when you have to? We have already taken a decision. Why not to put in a top priority mode? And let me tell you about the cost. This is my feeling. If I find a car, say 8.5 lakh, in case it is 8.7 lakhs, I don't mind paying another 20,000 or 30,000. So whenever you are a car buyer, additional of say 20, 30,000 rupees for ensuring my seat bag, that gives you tremendous confidence. I feel that any reasonable person with safety conscious mind should prefer even there is an additional cost.
Yes, but Indian customers traditionally, sir, the affordability factor becomes huge. And why I'm saying this is there's a concern in the overall economy as well. You know, the moment the auto industry faces any sort of setback or any downslide in sales, that again would have a cumulative effect. Like I put out those numbers on its contribution to GDP, etc. So if people do not, say, upgrade from a two-wheeler to a four-wheeler and the auto sales do stagnate, that again could be an issue, Mr. Dhawan, you feel?
First of all, I would like to clarify that the cost of the airbag is not 800 rupees. The minimum cost of an airbag, one airbag, is anything from 15,000 to 20,000 rupees, plus the cost of installation and the accessories that have to be installed in the car.
Yes,
And
which
if
is
you are talking of two
why I
airbags,
said that the minister's figure, the figure quoted by the union minister, was disputed by automobile experts like yourself. Go ahead, sir.
yeah, and as I said, in the entry model vehicles, the airbag is of between 15 and 20,000 rupees. When you are talking of higher cost cars, anything can be costing from 20,000 to 2,50,000 rupees, depending on the maker of the vehicle. So
Right.
it is not a cheap gadget that can be just bolted onto the car and you can have safety in it. It is a lengthy process of engineering all these factors into the vehicle when it is being manufactured, that it can be efficiently be deployed when if required.
Because, you know, the proportion of road accidents in India is particularly high. It's a huge concern. The number of lives we are losing to road accidents is so high, even with the fact that we only have 1% of the world's total number of cars. We have 11% of the road fatalities. We'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.